In December 1972, Apollo 17 astronauts left the lunar surface and headed home. For the next half-century, no human being would travel that far again. This glowing ring represents low Earth orbit. It extends roughly 1,200 miles above the surface. For 50 years, every space station, every shuttle mission, and every astronaut has been strictly confined inside this boundary. That boundary held until April 1, 2026. With the launch of the Artemis II mission, 4 astronauts physically broke out of that holding pattern and headed outward into deep space. Escaping Earth's gravity requires immense thrust. To do it, NASA built the Space Launch System, a massive rocket configured specifically to push heavy payloads out of standard orbit. Igniting from Launch Complex 39B, the SLS generated millions of pounds of thrust, pushing through the atmosphere on a 10-day stress test. This mission validates the life support and crew performance required for a sustainable lunar presence, providing the baseline data for long-term deep space operations. The people flying this route reflect a modern coalition. The crew included Christina Koch, an engineer holding the record for the longest single spaceflight by a woman, now running critical systems tests. Joining her were NASA veterans Reed Wiseman and Victor Glover, along with Jeremy Hansen representing the Canadian Space Agency, marking the first time a non-American flew a lunar trajectory. Their vehicle is the Orion spacecraft. It contains advanced avionics, heavy heat shielding, and life support systems engineered specifically to keep humans alive far from Earth. Before constructing lunar habitats or planning trips to Mars, engineers needed a live-fire test. The crew had to push Orion's interfaces to their limits to ensure the technology wouldn't fail out in the void. Here is the map of their initial path. After detaching from the rocket's main stage, Orion first entered a high elliptical orbit around Earth, allowing the crew to manually test flight controls and check the plumbing. About 24 hours in, the main engine fired. This multi-burn maneuver, known as the translunar injection, provided the exact velocity needed to escape Earth's gravity and push Orion toward the moon. The propulsion and power for that critical burn came from the European Service Module, a contribution from the European Space Agency, making escaping Earth possible. For the next 4 days, the crew traversed the expanding distance, monitoring spacecraft performance, conducting science experiments, and resolving minor hardware glitches in real time. Navigating this outbound leg proved that Orion's life support and communication systems could function across hundreds of thousands of miles, where instant resupply or quick rescue operations are impossible. By April 6th, Orion reached its target, swinging around the moon's far side into darkness, capturing up-close views of the lunar landscape. This chart compares their maximum distance to previous missions. At their closest approach of roughly 4,000 miles above the lunar surface, they traveled over 250,000 miles from Earth, breaking the record set by Apollo 13. They didn't enter a standard lunar orbit. Instead, they flew a hybrid free return trajectory, looping tightly around the moon to form a massive figure 8. This specific path relies on orbital mechanics as a built-in safety net. By utilizing the gravity of both Earth and the moon, the trajectory would automatically slingshot the spacecraft homeward, even if Orion suffered a total engine failure. By borrowing and updating this Apollo-era concept, engineers ensured that human survival was baked directly into the math of the flight path. After a multi-day return journey, the crew faced their final hurdle on April 10, re-entering the Earth's atmosphere. Hitting the atmosphere at Mach 32, friction instantly enveloped the capsule in plasma. The heat shield had to endure temperatures up to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, protecting the astronauts inside from the extreme conditions of high-speed re-entry. The shield held. Parachutes deployed, slowing Orion down for a gentle splashdown in the Pacific Ocean, where U.S. Navy recovery teams retrieved the crew. They returned with immense amounts of data on hardware endurance and human performance. By proving the systems under extreme stress, they effectively greenlit the next phase, a lunar landing with Artemis II. Zooming out, the 1,200-mile ring of low Earth orbit is now a small fraction of a flight path stretching 250,000 miles to the moon. With Orion systems validated, that distance is no longer a vacuum. It is a charted route.